and gentlemen.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy pre-4th of July. Happy pre-3-day weekend for most of you, but let them know what they're in for today.
Oh, we've got so much to talk about. We've got the Lakers scoring a center. The Knicks have a head coach, finally. We'll talk about Kershaw's feat. He got into the 3,000 strikeout squad. Muncie went down. We've got our boy, the Bandit, coming on at 7:30 to see just how well he did at the Fire and Police Olympics. We'll have some NFL news. We're also watching the ticker because we know something is going to break today.
Everything
just feels like it.
Everything breaks during this show, and it bugs me because we don't get the full blunt of what the story usually is until right after the show is over.
We've got all sorts of miscellaneous things to talk about to lead you into the 4th of July, which, please hold.
What?
Right here on ESPN Bakersfield, we'll have a doubleheader tomorrow with the Yankees and Mets kicking off at 11:30 in the morning, followed by the Rangers and Padres at 3. The Yankees and Mets on Saturday.
Ew.
And the Cardinals, Cubs Sunday, followed by the Rangers and Padres. But you can call, text in anytime, really 24 hours at 661-842-2000. The messages will get to us, and we will cover them right here on the Early Bird Special.
Absolutely. And let's start with the basketball world, as we have all week long. The New York Knicks found their head coach in Mike Brown. Main question for me, what took you so long? And question I want to pose to everybody out there right now listening to us, is this a little too late? Or have the Knicks waited too long with this coaching search, and now they're kind of behind everybody, in my opinion, when it comes to free agency and everything else? So text in 661-842-2000. Do you think this move by the Knicks is coming a little too late, or do you think the Knicks were really just one coach away from making it to the NBA Finals rather than a handful of players? Let us know what you guys think right now. 661-842-2000. Spark, what do you think about the coaching hire?
I think how the state of the Eastern Conference is, I think it's right on cue.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks are a little dysfunctional. And I think with the squad that they have and the performances they had last year and not a lot of movement with the Knicks, I think is almost a good thing.
You know, you would think that way, obviously, because everybody was wondering if they were going to blow up the Villanova team, quote unquote, as everybody keeps calling them. I don't think they will. I like I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, learn from the Pacers last year. They didn't blow themselves up when they made it way further than anybody thought they were going to. Same situation for you this year. Nobody really thought the Knicks were going to get past Boston. Like, everybody had a feeling that it could happen, but realistically, everybody was taking Boston in that series, and the Knicks shocked the world. And let's not pretend like Jason Tatum was hurt the entire series. He wasn't. He was only hurt in the last couple games. So if you're a Knicks fan, or at least part of the organization, finding Mike Brown, I agree, good pickup for a hire. He is a championship coach. And honestly, I can see how he relates and connects with these players a little bit better than a guy like Mike Malone or Tom Thibodeau, although I argue Tom Thibodeau does the exact same thing. And the biggest argument that I have against this move is it doesn't address the biggest issue, at least coaching-wise, when it comes to the Knicks, which is defense. Mike is a solid defensive coach, but he hasn't really, like, when you think of defensive-minded coaches, Tom Thibodeau, in my opinion, is a much higher coach on that list than Mike Brown. The only thing Mike Brown has over Thibodeau is the championship factor, and the fact that he's coached multiple stars like LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. But I'm not crazy about the hire. I'm not going to lie to you, but If the Knicks believe this is the guy for them to move them forward, we'll see what happens next year. I think you need to catch up to everybody else, though, and you need to make at least 1 or 2 free agent acquisitions and move some pieces around, because I still say outside of your starting 5 and maybe Robinson at 6, you don't have much else. And that's saying something when you're going up against teams that are 4, 5, 6 guys deep on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the roster, I think we'll get a lot more offensive minded with Brown. And I mean, I'll go to Stephen A., one of the biggest Knicks fans, aside from Spike Lee, and he kind of did the same thing about, what are you getting out of Brown that you weren't getting out of Tibbs?
I personally love Tibbs. I think that he's an approachable person, an exceptional coach, et cetera, but clearly very intense as we see him on the sidelines, where Mike Brown may come across as a bit more relaxed, not as panicky as Tom Thibodeau in terms of having a winning record, winning basketball games, and still feeling compelled to have your starters out there late in games because Lord help us, you might be able to come back from a 20-point lead with 60 seconds left. That's the kind of stuff that Tom Thibodeau is known. I'm being facetious to some degree, but that's just to explain his intensity. Mike Brown is a little less intense as a personality, but very much intense as a coach, certainly intense enough to be committed to getting the job done. And obviously his record, his credentials as a head coach in this league are not to be questioned.
I like Mike Brown. Obviously, as a Cavalier fan, I have a long history of Mike Brown being a head coach in Cleveland, even a return back to Cleveland that was very swiftly ended. But I just don't feel like this move is that huge for the Knicks. I feel like if you were going to make this move, you should have made it a couple days ago, and we should be already moving forward with whatever roster that Mike Brown wants on this Knicks team. And I think that is going to fall to the Knicks at some point. I know that you wanted somebody better. Don't get me wrong. Mike Brown is probably the 13th candidate on the list that they actually wanted as a head coach, including people like Don Staley that were probably over him as well, because that was real, that the South Carolina women's basketball coach was considered as one of the coaches to be the next Knicks head coach. So there's a lot of reasons to believe that this is a head-scratching move, especially by the fan base, who's not really crazy about this right now.
I mean, I think they really thought they were going to get Kidd, and I thought Kidd would have probably been the better decision. And obviously they couldn't.
The rumor now is that Dallas is going to be extending Jason Kidd for a couple years, and they brought in Frank Vogel to be an assistant to him for next year as well. So Dallas, I don't know what conversations they had with Jason after all of this, but maybe they've turned him around about staying in Dallas as well.
So, and they've made a ton of moves this in just the first week of free agency.
Oh, 100%.
But going back to Brown, is it to the finals this year or bust?
I would think so. If you're a Knicks fan, I mean, you got that close with Tom Thibodeau. And I still have to echo exactly what we heard from Stephen A. Smith, which was, what do you get from Mike Brown's team that you didn't get from Tom Thibodeau's?
And now you're paying for both of them.
Exactly. So you now, as Mike Brown, have to come out and prove not only that you can get a 50-win year out of this team like Thibodeau did the last 2 years, but that you can make this team you could take this team and take them to the Eastern Conference Finals, if not past that, like Tom Thibodeau did, because that is now your bar. Like, that was one of the biggest issues, I think, coming into this that the Knicks had was, although, yes, you fired Tom Thibodeau, now any coach that's coming in has that bar of expectation, not only by the fans, but by the organization, because the coach that came before you was already up here. We need you to take us up here. So if you can't take us up here, why are you here?
I mean, they have a tough roster, and I mean, I won't overlook them, especially, and they're going to have a target on their back now just from what they did this season. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering, out there, who do you think that can come in, and put them over that
as a player?
As a player.
Oh, Lord. That's kind of the issue. I'm not sure if there's a lot left.
There's not a lot out there.
Board. I mean, Quentin Grimes could be a good addition for you, especially to back up your guards. And I would say maybe if you could get a deal done with Josh Giddey, that also would be a solid one. I know you want him back in Chicago. I think he does go back to Chicago.
I sure hope so.
But there are some smaller pieces that you can plug in that are better than what you have now. And if you can somehow sign one or two of them right now before this entire thing really comes to a head here in a couple days, because now with DeAndre Ayton signing with the Lakers, a lot of the big name ticket players are gone. I mean, you could try to make it some sort of deal with Jonathan Kuminga, but you're going to have to dip into some major cash to have that happen. So if you're the Knicks, I would more assess, okay, who do we have on this roster that maybe we can just slightly improve on? Little tweaks that like they play a little bit better than this guy, so we can maybe move on from him and get somebody to fill in here that Mike will like a little bit better.
And that was another thing that was brought up in after the signing is, with Tibbs' mindset, he ran with 6, 7, sometimes 8 players. So there was a lot of players that we didn't see a lot of last season, and they expect to get the more out of the bench this year and out of players that we really didn't talk about last season. And they think that they have a roster, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they don't add much in this roster development. But kind of the same thing. I think that they were better off just keeping Tibbs and making those little tweaks. But I heard the whispers that that there was more going on with Tibbs and the Knicks front office that was maybe not something that we heard about. Not the players. We heard right after the Knicks got knocked out that a lot of the players loved Tibbs.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sure the other players that weren't getting game time probably weren't as happy. Not maybe the intensity kind of scares off a lot of teams. Bulls. There was other. He's bounced around the last few years. So I mean, I wish Tibbs the best, and I hope to see him coach after this season and hopefully in Chicago, but I don't see that happening. But I just wonder how long this leash is going to be with Brown. Say they, get knocked out in the first, second round next season, or is Brown getting replaced and they're going to be another coach that they're paying off?
That's entirely possible. I mean, again, like I just brought up with Cleveland, they brought him back for, I think it was a 1-year stint in Cleveland. And then they swiftly realized, never mind, this isn't what we want. And they let him go again. And then that's when he went to Sacramento. Like
I could totally see the same thing with the Knicks.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is especially if somebody of higher coaching value comes up next year. Like, let's say, throwing this out there, it's probably never going to happen. I never say this guy's name, but everybody does for some reason. UConn's head coach Hurley. If Dan Hurley next year, for some reason, decides, you know what? I'm ready. I'm done. I don't want to be in UConn anymore. I don't want to be in college basketball anymore. I want to move up. I want to see if I can win an NBA championship. Highly doubt the Knicks are not going to make an offer. You know what I mean? Like, if you can at all make a substantial upgrade at coach or at the coaching area of the team, I would do it. Because although I like Mike Brown, don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic coach. I just don't think he's the guy that's going to coach you to a championship. I haven't seen it, although he's gotten to a couple, and obviously he's won one with the Lakers. I don't think that he really is that coach that made those moves to get them there. I think he was the beneficiary of some great rosters, and he knows how to get very good play out of those players on that roster, which is the benefit of Mike Brown. But again, as I've said a couple times now already, so did Tom Thibodeau. So you have to prove that you can do that better than Tom Thibodeau.
And it doesn't really make sense to me either, because now the more I think of it, the big preach after they fired Tibbs is they wanted a younger player type
somebody
coach.
To connect with the guys and get the and you made a very good point though, that a lot of this had to do with the bench play and how much he played the bench. I totally get that. And Mike Brown is a guy who utilizes the bench way more than Tom Thibodeau, but everybody utilizes the bench more than Tom Thibodeau.
Yes. But say they go into a 10-player rotation,
right?
And the defense steps back.
Yes, or the offense does, because you don't have Jalen Brunson and Cat on the court as much.
Exactly.
So it's like that. There's going to be drawbacks to this.
Teams with big rosters, like what we saw with the Pacers, which they're going to take a step back this year. But just the big question is, teams were adapting to Cat and Brunson, and that's what hurt the Knicks.
Right.
And now adapting with, add 3 or 4 more players in that rotation.
That's why I think they need to make small tweaks. I know you have confidence in the players that you have on the roster. I totally understand that. As an organization, you should. But if there is any way, shape, or form you can make small tweaks just to increase the ability of some of these guys and just make it a little bit better, I feel like you'd be at least sitting happier if you're a Knicks fan. You're already a contender, don't get me wrong. But if you can get some pieces in there that you know can produce rather than guys you believe can produce, I think that you'll just be in a better spot. And honestly, and I think you stumbled into something as well. I know that a lot of the star players for the Knicks last year obviously loved Tom Thibodeau. You know, Jalen Brunson being one of them, who was very vocal about loving Tom Thibodeau. But you said it yourself, and I think that you're right about this. It's easy to love the coach that's giving you all the playing time. So now we're going to see a coach come in that's going to be sharing that playing time. And how is that going to affect the morale of your star? How is Jalen Brunson and Cat and Bridges and all these guys going to take that? Now you're not going to have 40 minutes on the court to do what you want to
get
do.
A cut.
You're going to have maybe 32 to 35. And that's significant in basketball. A 5-minute gap on the bench is significant in basketball. So I think that you're going to have a lot of morale movement in that area too, including some stars that are not going to be happy with
unless
the move.
they're winning.
Yeah, unless they're winning. So that's, again, even more so why Mike Brown has to jump over that pole or over that hurdle that Tom Thibodeau has set for him now.
We'll call or text in anytime, 661-842-2000. And yes, we'll talk about the Lakers right after this break. This is the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. In a couple minutes, we're going to talk to our buddy Brian Cobb about his run in the police and firefighters Olympics. The last couple of days, he did have to move up a weight class. Mm-hmm. It did have me worried for a little bit.
Damn Whoppers.
Yeah, well, you can't say no to a good burger, man. I'm telling you. It's just I do not blame him whatsoever. You put a good burger in front of me, I'm gonna eat it. It's America. That's the way we work. I don't know what to tell you.
I had an In-N-Out last night.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
I see. Now I'm controversial take here, and people are gonna hate me for it. But text in, call me a goof if you want. 661-842-2000. Overrated. For the price, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna say
fantastic.
I'm a money wise guy. So
100%. There is no burger in town that you can get better on a budget.
But ever since I started this diet, like some of it just messes up my stomach.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's when your body is so used to a certain diet for so long, when you try to change that, no matter what, your stomach's not gonna like it.
And I just tried to get a cheat meal in there, and I was like, nope.
Trust me, dude. I've been going through the same thing. I've lost like 50 pounds in the last year. So,
damn.
Oh yeah, no, I've lost a ton of weight, dropping the sodas and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the key. The
sodas. Trust me, when I didn't look it, but I was pushing 250, 260.
See, the sodas and the my sweet tea, and then my late night sweets. Once I cut those three out, it's just dropping.
Switch the sweets for fruit and peanut butter.
And I love peanut butter and fruit. So
the peanut butter has sugar in it, and I promise you, it'll curb the sweet.
But not all fruits.
Not all fruits.
I had to kick off.
Don't touch bananas and all that type of stuff. Yeah, I love bananas. I'll have it as a side thing, but no, apples, oranges, that type of stuff.
And even a big shout out with the Harris Barbecue. Brought in some banana pudding. That was my breakfast yesterday. It was bomb. It was fantastic. And yes, we made our order for the 4th of July.
I'm still trying to figure out who's coming over to eat this brisket with me. I'm still like, I gotta like figure that out because that's a lot of meat, and I'm like, oh, how am I gonna cook this too? Like, I have to figure that out.
Well, that's the one meat that I've steered away from just because I don't have the nice barbecue to brisket, and I don't have 14 hours to sit there and watch it. So
I told my dad, it's like, hey, I'm coming over with dinner. Don't plan nothing.
Well, before we get into the Lakers, we got a couple texts in when it comes to basketball. Yes. The first one says, "What the hell is my Miami Heat doing? Absolutely nothing."
I was shocked about this as well. I'm waiting for some sort of acquisition for the Heat. I think you're in the running for one of these stars, though, because hear me out on this. A couple teams that I've heard that are connected to Damian Lillard, including, yes, the Celtics and the Lakers.
And the Warriors.
All three teams we talked about yesterday. I hear Miami's interested. I hear Cleveland's interested, which is shocking to me. I doubt they actually make anything happen there. I think that's more of the media saying, hey, number one team in the East, go over there. Like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. But there are a handful of teams, including Miami, I think, that are interesting suitors for him. And especially with this Giannis to Atlanta situation boiling up. Thank you, Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike. But it's an interesting pickup that I think needs to happen. I like Damian going to Miami. But again, the issue with I know you don't. But the issue with it is the injury.
And he has thrown in that he wants to be closer to his kids.
Yes.
So, and that was one of the main things that he hated about Milwaukee, that he was so far away from his kids.
Yes. And so wherever you go, unless you're moving the whole family with him, you're going to have to figure that out. So.
And this one will lean up right into what we wanted to talk about. But as a Lakers fan, the text says, I like the signing of Ayton, but still need a rim protector and a lob threat. Didn't think that that's the guy that can do it, but I still like the signing, but I believe we have to get another big boy.
So I agree with you. You need another big guy. I don't think you get him in free agency, though, unless you get somebody at a market value. Maybe you get Jackson Hayes to come back. I like this pickup for the Lakers, though, because he is a versatile big man, and he can be that not rim protector, great one, but the lob guy, 100% he can be that guy for you. I don't think the teams he's played for in the past have really utilized that enough. And when you have a big man that's just having fun, all of them love to catch alley-oops. Every single one. And with a guy like LeBron and Luka, if you can somehow get all three of them to mesh together, this could be a really good trifecta for the Lakers, especially with Austin Reeves' future being up in the air. And I'm still not sold you can't turn him around. I'm really not. I'm not sold that he doesn't re-sign with the Lakers, even with this entire
Reeves?
with everything going on. I think you could turn his entire idea around and make him,
And
or
see,
not make him, but convince him to stay.
I read on Bleacher Report yesterday that there was some talks that he didn't like playing with Luka.
It's possible because again, he's a point guard. He's a natural point guard and wants the ball in his hands. But if that's the case, I mean, you played with LeBron too, so the games are very similar. I think now having two of them on the same team probably makes it even worse. But I just don't know if it's maybe a chemistry thing or the fact that Austin just wants the ball in his hands more, which I kind of
if he
understand.
can get more money on, he's going to chase it.
Oh, 100%.
But
and you're going to get your money in on another team. I can see that with a lot of different teams right now.
So Ayton signed his 2-year deal with the Lakers yesterday, and the rumor was that he did have some interest from the Bucks, Knicks, and Nuggets. Can you imagine if he was with the Knicks? I could have seen that.
I could see it because obviously the Nuggets making the move yesterday or 2 days ago, I believe, to sign JV to be their new backup center makes a lot of sense. And Ayton fits a lot of different teams' just scheme. And as a young center, it's somebody you can build around. He was just drafted 7 years ago. So I know that's a substantial amount of time. Don't get me wrong, but like he has still time to develop a little bit more into something, more respectable at the center position. I think the Lakers are the best fit for him though, because that's an automatic starting spot for you.
Yep.
And you can easily get more playing time with the Lakers than you would with any of the rest of those teams. The only other team that I can honestly see him going and playing for out of those three, oh Lord, actually, none of them. Now I'm thinking about it. Nah, it doesn't fit for the Knicks because the Knicks had Mitchell Robinson already, and to have a third center on top of that wouldn't make a lot of sense unless you're moving Cat to the 4. And yeah, no, I can't think of an easy way to put the other two into words. So yeah, no, Lakers to me was the best spot for DeAndre Ayton. The Nuggets obviously moving on to JV makes a lot more sense too because he has a long history of playing either with or against Jokic on the European scene too. So I think this is going to be great moves for most of these teams. I do think you need one more though. If you're a Lakers fan, you got to pick up one more big man to at least be defensive minded.
Well, we'll wrap up this and we'll sit and talk with Brian Cobb and see how this fire and police Olympic wins.
Yeah.
As he I won't even
I know I want to say it, but I can't say it. I mean, we released or we showed it on our social media. So if you follow us on the early bird special yesterday, you know where we're going with this conversation. But I'm going to let Brian announce it because it's his news and it's pretty big news. So
well, we'll talk about him and some much more. We still got to get into the Bronny talk, the Kershaw talk, Muncie's injury, and all sorts of miscellaneous news right here on the early bird special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. And welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick out of Sparky. We're efforting our buddy Brian Cobb out in Birmingham, Alabama, to talk about the World Police and Fire Games. He's a participant in the wrestling portion of all of this. I'm assuming he overslept.
He was in for half a second.
Oh, no, that was me. I was testing.
No, he said he was in. He saw us.
Again? Oh.
I can turn myself on. There we go. Yeah, we're efforting an interview with our boy Brian Cobb right now. This video streaming thing it's difficult at times. You have to go through and accept a lot of permissions and stuff like that. So we have to start making an actual list of how this stuff works. But before we get to our boy Brian, we'll work this stuff out right now. We got some more moves out in the NBA world for you. Spencer Dinwiddie has agreed to a one-year deal with the Charlotte Hornets. I think that'll be a solid deal for the Hornets to get a veteran guard to back up LaMelo Ball and help him move on and move forward with his career. Dante Exum has also signed a one-year deal with the Dallas Mavericks, will be most likely the third point guard on this roster behind Kyrie Irving and our boy D'Lo Russell. And then finally, I would assume the LeBron James situation is coming to a head here because they are announcing that they have not made substantial discussions with him in order to extend his contract past this entire opt-in situation with his player option. We have a bite from Bronny James we'll get to later. We won't play it right now. It is just great to see, though, that he is not really focused on where his dad's future is. He's more focused on his own. And this entire thing with LeBron James, for you Laker fans, I'm not 100% sure if you're going to have to worry about him getting traded. I really don't think that he's going to be going anywhere this year. Do we got our boy Brian, though? Fantastic. Sir, how are you? How are we feeling?
I'm doing all right. I'm not feeling great, but I feel like mentally I feel good.
Well, as long as you're mentally feeling good, that's all that matters. We didn't want to break the news because it's your news, and I know everybody is waiting to hear. But how did we do? How's everything going?
So I wrestled in the quarterfinals, and I won with a 43-second tech fall. So I got in,
nice,
got to legs and finished the match pretty quick. Got a couple quick turns. In the semis, I wrestled a guy from the U.S. from the FBI.
Oh, wow.
About 2 minutes into the match, I split his head open, so he was bleeding. And then we kind of got back at it. And then after the break, so you go 2-3 minute periods with a minute break in between.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to get to his legs again and finish the match, so I won that. And then in the finals, I wrestled a very, very tough guy from Slovakia who was super stingy and was kind of putting it on some people. And I got to a head pull down. He went for a huge duck, and I was able to kind of turn and push him out and get a point. And then I got a takedown, and that was it. So I won 3-0, wound up winning the gold medal match, and did not give up a single point in the entire tournament.
Fantastic.
Boom.
We're bringing home a gold. That's awesome to hear. Now, just self-indulgent question here now, though. Did you get a little recruitment action from the FBI after busting their head open? Nobody came up and talked to you, said, hey, man, we need to talk to you about a career change.
My wife had said some of the people were like, yeah, I think that guy fought in the UFC. Like, there were some people talking, and they were sitting next to another family whose son and boyfriend is in Boston's police department.
Oh, really?
And they looked like, man, your husband's like, he's really good. So it was flattering to have, people be, excited to see me wrestle and to be able to perform pretty well. And, in a legit world championships, the guy from Lithuania took a bronze, Slovakian took a silver, and I took a gold. So all in all, my knee is pretty swollen. I'm limping around. My face is a little sliced up. I took like a fingernail to the face. And I cannot move my neck at all. The guy from the FBI tried to hit a headlock and just wrenched my neck.
Well, they don't call him the Bandit for no reason, man. So I'm super proud. We're all super proud of you, brother. And I know this has been something that you've been itching to get back in. We talked. I believe last time we talked was one of your retirement matches that you were just having a new baby girl, and you were talking that family always comes first. You were about to hang it up. So it is really awesome to hear that you got back on the mat. And I mean, I never had any doubts. I already knew if the Bandit's in there, he's taking the gold. So I'm super proud of you, brother.
And
What's next though?
I don't know. My wife
Rest?
found out that in
really?
2027 it's in Australia. Now all of a sudden she's like, maybe you don't retire just yet.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's a nice trip. I don't know. And all things considered,
Australia's cool. So, but yeah, for right now, like I kind of want to lick my wounds a little bit. I'm pretty banged up. That Slovakian guy was real strong. The FBI guy was real strong. And my body doesn't rebound as quickly as it used to. So, enjoy a couple days out here in Alabama in the South. We're right now at the Ultimate Firefighter Challenge, watching these guys do some of that. I know that that's going to be on ESPN too, I think, and just enjoying time with my family, appreciating them, and then getting back to work. And then if she wants to go to Australia, the only way we go is if I wrestle.
I'm just saying, man, that's a bucket list place for me too. And honestly, all things considered, I think you made out pretty well. Gold medal, and you didn't have your head busted open, so I think you win in this situation.
Every day that I'm, alive and breathing, I thank God for that opportunity, to be a dad. And it's a great sport, man. Like, more than anything, like the camaraderie, like being able to hang out with a bunch of guys that are in the fire and police service, and like it was really cool to see like other Americans like rally around you against. There's 70 other countries here. My wife picked up a T-shirt and it just showed every country that had a wrestler, and it's just like, this is wild. This is wild to like see this. And the Americans had the biggest contingent because it's in the U.S., but like they were just pumped when Americans won and beat other countries. So it was a really cool. Like the energy was really positive, and it was just.
That's so awesome, dude.
This is a good way to end it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I saw the pictures your daughters were wearing, so it's cool that they got to see you, wrestle. I mean, we're just super proud of you, brother. Just take some time, rest. I'm glad your family got to go with you, and enjoy your Independence Day. We really appreciate you taking the time out to join us.
I appreciate you guys bringing me on, man. I'm super proud to represent Bakersfield, be friends with guys like you, and just have people that care, man. It's fun. I'm glad to bring home a gold.
Yes,
and
sir.
Represent all those people that represent me.
Well, we appreciate your time, brother. Go enjoy your Independence Day weekend with your family, and we'll talk to you very soon.
All right, man. Happy 4th. God bless.
All right, we'll take a break real quick, pay some bills. On the other side, we'll get into this whole LeBron James situation and Bronny and the future for both of them with the Los Angeles Lakers. This has been the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is an early bird special. We have some interesting news, or at least rumors, that are being told right now from Kevin Durant. Apparently, and I am reading from CBS Sports, the Athletic is reporting that the KD trade has a chance to expand into a record-breaking 7-team trade between the Rockets, Suns, Hawks, Lakers, Timberwolves, Nets,
Yeah.
Nets, and Warriors. However, there is no player movement in terms of this trade. I don't know if that has already been announced. It's all going to tie into salary and some conditions and exceptions that could keep them in certain salary cap aprons, as it were. So if this becomes true, nothing has been finalized. They're taking their time on this because obviously free agency is going right now, and the craziness of the first couple of days takes precedent over any trades. So the Rockets and the Suns are in no hurry right now to really finalize this deal. And honestly, if you can make this work, each team is probably going to find a way to get some sort of cash negotiation so you stay out of cap salary issues while signing players in free agency. It absolutely is. So this is an interesting development. We'll let you know how this goes here, and we'll probably get an update at some point next week if this does end up happening.
They're trying to finalize it by the 6th.
So yeah, we'll most likely know by the 6th, if not probably over the weekend, I would assume, because if they're ready to get this done, they're probably going to get it done, if not tomorrow. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But we got to talk about this LeBron James and Bronny situation. Like I said earlier, LeBron and the Lakers have had no substantial conversations to extend LeBron past this next year after his player option has been played out. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be truthful or not, or if LeBron just says, you know what, I'm retiring after this year. I would assume that is probably what's on his mind. We all know that LeBron has maybe 2 to 3 years left in his career, not because he can't go, but because at this point in his career, how much longer are you willing to push your body? I mean, is he going to go 25 years, 30 years in the NBA? At some point, you got to retire, big guy. And your son's future, unfortunately, is tied to yours, at least with the Lakers, in my opinion, because the whole reason the Lakers drafted him in the second round is because you asked them to. But LeBron, or I should say, Bronny, not LeBron, Bronny Jr. That was Ozzy.
Yeah, it is
That was
Ozzy.
Ozzy. Bronny is not really that concerned about his future with the Lakers and is really just more about or focused on developing himself as a player. So let's hear from Bronny real quick.
One of my friends called me talking about what I was going to do because they seen my dad, whatever. I didn't see it. He called me. I was like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So pretty much answers the question. Yeah, I don't really pay attention to that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around that I don't pay attention to. So yeah,
Good for him.
I also say good for him, but I also say shenanigans. Shenanigans. You didn't know. Dude, you're younger than me. We're all on the internet. You knew. You definitely knew this was a rumor. You probably don't pay attention to it. That's probably the truth because you know the truth more than anybody. He's your dad. Obviously, you talk to him, or at least I would hope you talk to him. And good for you for not adding to the problem. But I would be shocked if Bronny isn't somewhat worried about his future with the Lakers after his dad leaves, especially if you can't make some sort of an impact on the team this year. Because from what we understand, the Lakers are willing to give him more playing time this year and give him a shot at actually making something happen and, earning a roster spot with the NBA team rather than the D League team or G League team,
which he's about to kick off in a week or so.
Right, absolutely. So I say if you make the most out of this opportunity right now, you could totally move yourself up in the roster, especially with Austin Reeves' future dangling out in the air. This is the proper opportunity for you, Bronny, to make a move and show everybody that you could still play basketball at the highest level. I'm still wondering, though, if he worries about his future. Because let's be honest, as I said when we started this segment, the whole reason you're on the Lakers right now is because your dad asked for it. So that has to weigh in the back of your mind. It has to, right? Like, am I crazy to think that?
I mean, sooner or later, he's going to have to fly.
No, I get that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he doesn't want to break away from his dad.
I hope LeBron does get traded next year or moves to a different team and they leave him and let him find his future. But
is it going to be a Laker?
And I don't know. I mean, I think it's Lakers or bust for this guy, personally.
Really?
I don't see anybody else unless somehow, some way he takes a huge step into, what we expected before, his heart conditions or his health. But, and we've talked a little bit about, the next James son that could be, in the draft next year.
Bryce, yeah.
So we'll see. I think that's one of the things that we see LeBron for another year after this. I think he'll play for 1 year with both of his kids if everything lines up. But I mean, I wish him the best, and I hope that he takes it serious as he sounded like. But it's going to be tough.
I agree with you that I think that he wants to branch away from his dad and pave his own way. I do agree with that. I just don't know if that's going to be with the Lakers.
Yeah.
I think once the Lakers' relationship with LeBron is over, I think probably the relationship with Bronny is over. That doesn't mean he's out of the league. I'm just saying use this year with the Lakers to prove to somebody. All you have to do is prove one team out of 30 that you can play in the NBA and you will get a contract. We've seen worse players get signed. And honestly, I'm waiting for him to bounce back from this heart condition year. I am concerned that obviously that is still a factor in his life, but at some point you have to see him bounce back as a basketball player from that. So if we are going to see that this year, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that it needs to happen this year.
Well, in the last few minutes that we have in this hour, we'll talk baseball in the next hour. But we talked a little bit yesterday about Sophie Cunningham, questioning the WNBA's decision to expand to Cleveland and Detroit and a couple other places. And she wants a bigger market teams. And now Cleveland and Detroit are clapping back. They're like, dude, come on.
Detroit, they're both sports cities. No one's saying you're not sports cities. I'm just saying I kind of agree with her that there are bigger sports cities that we should probably be hitting first. And honestly, keeping cities like Nashville and Kansas City out of basketball kind of bugged me. Like, why don't we have a team in Nashville? Tennessee is huge with basketball. How do we not have a team in the NBA in Tennessee right now? You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I get that there are fans across the board in Detroit and Cleveland, but can you honestly tell me that you guys are going to pack out stadiums as much as a Tennessee team would, especially with their history with women's basketball? You're going to sit there and tell me that Tennessee isn't going to pack out a stadium for a women's basketball team, but Cleveland would? Nah. No. I'm sorry. That's where I agree with Cunningham. Is that if we want to look at this from a business standpoint and building a fan base, cities like Nashville in Tennessee need to be on that list way higher than teams like Cleveland.
I know they threw out the video clip of Caitlin Clark praising Cleveland, and I know Detroit reminded fans of their support for their former team with the Shock. It just, you're a player, just be happy.
That's what I'm saying. And no one's saying that this isn't going to expand to all of these cities eventually. I'm sure we are. I fully guarantee that the WNBA wants to get to a 30-team league, just like the NBA. But I'm just saying, if we want to hit and make money, you need to hit big market teams right now. And those big market teams would be in Nashville and in, honestly, Miami, Kansas City, places like this, I think would make more money than it would in Cleveland.
Well, they're going to have to wait until after 2030.
Yeah. That's the
and we're talking about the 30s again.
It's coming around the corner, man. We're halfway there.
And the Seattle Storm announced yesterday that they will unveil a statue of WNBA icon Sue Bird outside the Climate Pledge Arena on August 17th, making her the first player in league history to receive such an honor.
Do you think anybody else should have received that honor before her? Maybe like a Lisa Leslie?
I was saying Lisa Leslie. She's up there.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. Parker would be up there too, but Sue Bird is a great. I understand why Sue Bird is going to be the first one because obviously Seattle loves her, and Seattle right now, actually Seattle is a great example of a team that in the WNBA that is in a mid-market, area that excels because it's one of the only teams in that area, and with superstars like Sue Bird, it makes it easier. But
I
I don't know.
forgot that she's a 4-time champ,
Oh yeah, no,
5-time Olympic gold
they
medalist.
crushed in Seattle for a long time in the WNBA.
And I think if the NBA pulls a Seattle team, it'll help both sides.
Well, the NBA is going to expand to Seattle again soon. If they expand to Vegas, trust me, you're getting a team in Seattle.
I've been waiting.
Everybody has. That's the whole point. But I think at this point, if you're the WNBA, consideration of other cities besides Cleveland and Detroit might be a better option. I'm just saying. That's my personal opinion. Text in what you guys think. 661-842-2000. We'll read your text message on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. And don't forget, go follow us on YouTube as well at the Early Bird Special. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Hour 2 of the Early Bird Special, final hour of the week. But don't worry, you can hear us tomorrow as well, right here on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m., ESPN Bakersfield, or streaming online at espnbakersfield.com, audio-wise at least. Video we will not be on tomorrow. We will be taking the day off. But audio-wise, if you want to hear us on ESPN Bakersfield, you can hear the best of the past week. You'll hear our discussion with our boy 24KG. You'll probably hear the discussion we just got done with our boy Brian Cobb. And I think I'm going to replay our discussion last week with our guy Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike as well. So you'll be able to hear all of that and more right here on ESPN Bakersfield. So we will still be on the air tomorrow, 7 to 9. It just won't be live. We'll be back on Monday, much like the rest of you will. And I hope you enjoy your long 3-day weekend. But we got to talk about the LA Dodgers because Clayton Kershaw did it yesterday. He became the 4th left-handed pitcher to ever throw for 3,000 strikeouts. And honestly, I was really hoping this was going to go against the Astros. I really, really was. I was hoping full circle. Cheaters get what they deserve kind of a thing. But White Sox put up a fight. It took a 3-run ninth for the Dodgers to actually win this game because, and nobody's surprised the Dodgers almost threw away a historic game for one of their players. Freddie Freeman hits a walk-off to actually make it one of the more dramatic games of the night. But we got to hear from the man himself, Clayton Kershaw, on reaching 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah, I made it interesting for sure. Made it take too long. Honestly, didn't pitch that great tonight. Slider was so bad, but this was such a special night all the way around. It really was. Couldn't have asked for anything more, really. It just was. It was so fun to get to be out there, and it's a little bit harder when you're actually trying to strike people out. I've never really had to do that before. It was hard. You give the White Sox credit too. They didn't make it easy on me at all. It was a tough night all the way around, but what a way to end it with Freddie coming up clutch there. And yeah, just to see the fans' reaction and running back out there for the 6th and hearing that crowd roar was up there for me in special moments. It really was.
And what a historic day for him. Accolade number 1, done. Check. Get it off the board. Now, accolade number 2, he wants one more ring. He's done. He's riding off into the sunset as arguably the greatest statistical pitcher the Dodgers franchise.
Wow, I'm glad you said it that way because we did get a text that says, can we call Kershaw the GOAT now? Go blue.
Statistically, yes. Much like Derek Carr for the Raiders. Greatest statistical quarterback in Raiders history. Believe it or not. But when you put him up historically against some of the greatest historical pitchers of all time and pitchers that produced in the postseason, because I'm sorry, that's the number one thing is he couldn't produce in the postseason. Still can't. He has to be able to shake that moniker at some point in order to be the GOAT. I'm sorry. You can't be a GOAT in your sport and not produce in the playoffs when it matters the most. So I can't call him the GOAT in terms of Dodger pitchers. Statistically, the best there was, the best there is, the best there probably ever will be until someone better comes along like Shohei. But I think right now, you could definitely say statistically he's the greatest pitcher the Dodgers have ever had.
Well, you did mention that he is the 4th lefty to be in that group. Do you know the other 3?
I was quizzed on this yesterday.
From Ralph?
From Ralph, yes. CC Sabathia, Randy Johnson, and I am drawing a blank on the last one, which is terrible because he's a Philly. It's
Steve Carlton.
Thank you. Steve Carlton. Thank you. Great company. Obviously, there's, I think, 19, or it's double digits for sure for the amount of pitchers that have gotten to 3,000. No one will ever touch Nolan Ryan, though. I'm sorry. No one will ever touch 5,300.
I like Randy Johnson, but
Randy's great. Don't get me wrong.
We got Daly.
Daily Dave, how are you, sir?
Oh, man, what a night. 4 generations watching the ball game. My dad's 98.
Really?
I'm 68. My daughter's 40. My grandson's 16. We're all sitting here in the same TV room where I watched OJ score a touchdown for USC. A man walked on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
The 88 Dodgers. The 2024 Freddie Freeman. And now 3K left for 3K.
We're putting 2024 Freddie Freeman on that list too? Wow, Dave. That's a heck of a list.
I'm in the same room.
No, I know. I totally. I'm just giving you grief, sir. That is awesome. That's fantastic. What'd you guys think? I mean, obviously, you would rather be at Chavez Ravine when this happened. I somehow knew multiple people that were at this game last night. I didn't even know I knew people that had tickets, and I guess a lot of my friends who were Dodger fans were there. It was absolutely insane.
I can imagine how electric it was. Oh, and then of course, when we had the walk off with the walk off in '88 and the walk off last year. But what an exciting time for me! 4 generations were watching. I called my daughter yesterday. What are you doing? She goes, I don't have the game. I go, come over here to Grampy's house. We'll watch it. And we're sitting here eating, enjoying food and drink, and watching the game, and just and I've witnessed, like I said, the same room that I'm in. I'm watching my dad helping him out.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the man land on the moon. I mean, this is like a historic. And then
Absolutely.
3,000. Come on.
No, that's fantastic. I love hearing stories like that too. That's a great, great family moment, sir. And I'm happy that you guys got to enjoy that together. That's fantastic.
Yeah. All I can think of is 2 things. What will I see next? And of course, Kershaw cannot be put with the greatest because he did have his letdowns during the postseason. I mean, it's just a fact.
Right.
But he does have 2 World Series, and he could possibly get a 3rd.
It's entirely possible. I still say you guys are the team to beat this year. I mean, as bad as you guys have looked, you're still the best team second to best team in baseball, I think, record-wise right now. I'm not sure if the Tigers still have the lead over.
And we're not even hitting on all cylinders.
No.
And the only bad thing, Muncy getting hurt last night, I'm hoping it's not as bad as it looks.
See, I'm going to tell you right now, though, and I've said this as a skeptic of the team, but as somebody who's watched for a long time now, I don't think the Muncy injury is going to be that big of a deal for you. And here's why. The guy can barely hit out of a boat, Dave. The guy, I love him. Don't get me wrong. He's a likable dude, but he reminds me a lot of Brian Reynolds, if you remember who that is from back there a couple years ago, like a decade or 2 ago. Played for the Diamondbacks for a long time. He either hits a home run or he strikes out.
You make a very good point there, but we have 2 people sitting on deck.
True.
A kid by the name of Kiki Hernandez and Tommy Tanks.
Yep.
Either one of those guys can fill in. And now this little is he Korean?
Kim. Yes. I'm not sure if he's Korean. I actually I've not looked that up, but yeah, no, he's been hitting on all cylinders too. And he's a utility guy that you could use at first if you needed to.
We have all these people we can plug in, and even Oscar's not hitting well right now.
No, that's why he lost out. We haven't even gotten to that yet, but that's why he lost out on the starter spot for the All-Star game too.
Because he had a little bit of a downfall.
Yeah, because he's gone down and Ronald Acuña's come up, so they ended up choosing Acuña over him.
Yeah, but I say, hey, bring on San Francisco, bring on San Diego, bring on everybody, and I hope we just get healthier and stronger. And my adage has always been the same thing: the team that's the healthiest comes to the playoffs has the best chance to make it to the top.
See, I agree with you, but I always go with the team that's the hottest. Who's ever on the hottest winning streak right now usually is the team that wins.
That's a good point too. Yeah, you want to come into the home stretch really hot.
Exactly.
Really clicking, and we're not even close to clicking.
No,
so I have a good feeling about it.
We haven't even gotten halfway there yet, Dave. We still have a whole season left in baseball, so there's plenty more to talk about. We got to let you go, though, sir. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you listening.
Thank you. Have a great game.
You too.
Have a good 4th of July. And yeah, that was one of the things I was going to bring up. If you didn't see that collision with Muncy, I mean, it looks pretty bad, but luckily that team is stacked.
Look, I love Max Muncy. I do. But you cannot deny the last couple of years, at least, the guy's had struggles hitting. He really has. He's just barely started turning it around this year. I mean, just a couple months ago, we were talking about him and Conforto and Kike and a lot of these other guys who couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. And as much as I love the fact that it's baseball and you turn it around like this at any point in time, he could turn it into, a 110 season into a 400 season at any point in time. But it is just, I think you can find guys that can hit, and you need to, adopt the adage of the Oakland A's back in the Moneyball days. Get on base. You can't score if you can't get on base. And Max does a solid job at that, but I think you have other guys on the field, including Kim, that get on base way more. But let's talk a little bit before we go to break about the All-Star game, because the All-Star rosters were announced yesterday, and I had them in front of me, and now I lost them, Sparky. But I know that the NL All-Star team, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, you had Will Smith from the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman, I believe Ketel Marte will be your second base. Manny Machado in shortstop. Lindor, if I'm not mistaken, beat out Mookie at shortstop. And then you got the rookie sensation Pete Crow from the Cubs out in the outfield, along with Kyle Tucker. And as we mentioned earlier, Ronald Acuna Jr. bouncing back from his gruesome injury last year will be taking the final spot in the outfield. And I believe DH, surprise to no one, Shohei Ohtani. The AL, I'm not 100% sure if I'm right on this one, so I'm not going to go out and say it right now. I'd have to look it up. But regardless, the NL All-Star team looks fantastic this year. Spark, do you got the AL in front of you? Per chance? Negative. I'm working on that right now. Give me one sec. I apologize. I shouldn't even talked about this without pulling it up first. We got Cal Riley at center, at catcher. Obviously, the just stud in Seattle has shocked the world when it comes to home runs. If this dude does not do the home run derby, I swear to God, the home run derby is dead. It really is dead.
It's already dead.
I hate saying that though, because it's the best part about the All-Star team sometimes, or the All-Star weekend. Vladdy Guerrero will be your first base in the American League. Gleyber Torres at second. Jacob Wilson, the rookie from the Athletics, takes shortstop. Fantastic. Jose Ramirez at third from the Guardians. Designated hitter will be Ryan O'Hearn from the Orioles. Aaron Judge, to no surprise, will be in the outfield, as well as the two studs from the Tigers, Riley Green and Javi Baez. Javi being the first baseball player ever to be starting on an all-star team at two positions in his career. He was at the shortstop when he played for the Cubs back, I think, 2019 when he was elected on the All-Star team, and now will be in the outfield. I love seeing the magician back on the All-Star team. I love Javi Baez. I know there's a lot of lukewarm feelings about this guy, but he has made some of the most memorable plays I've ever seen in baseball. I still remember that time where he juked out his now team, the Detroit Tigers. I believe it was the Tigers or it was the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm not sure 100%. But when he was playing for the Cubs and turned what should have been an easy routine out into essentially a double, while the team scored at the same time. And if you have watched Javi's career, you know exactly what play I'm talking about. But it is cool to see. I can't wait for the All-Star game this week. I'm sorry, not this week, this upcoming week. The runner-ups for the AL team I'm seeing here are Mike Trout and Steven Kwan. And then the runner-ups for the NL team is just Max Muncy for the third base. Teoscar Hernandez and Juan Soto. Oh, and Andy Pages looks like he'll be the outfield runner-up as well. So if any of these guys go down with injury before then, obviously these guys will be stepping in. We're going to take a quick break, though, pay some bills. On the other side, we'll talk more baseball. And I got a couple reels that I want to play that are some fun talking points. I want to get your guys' opinion on some of this stuff. You are listening to the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. And welcome back. This is the early bird special. I was actually going to ask if you wanted to play the Mets song as the interest. The Mets have broken their long losing streak, so I had found this song from a Instagram guy that I've been following for years that is just fantastic. But I'm not going to lie to you, it you know what? Might as well. Let's just play it. Might as well play it. This is to celebrate the Mets win yesterday and breaking this long losing streak that they have been on. Go for it, my friend.
Cue the music. Come on and beat the Mets. Beat the Mets. Take your turn to sweep the Mets. Expectations are all-time high. Then they do things that just make you shout why. Because no matter who wears orange and blue, they'll find new ways to disappoint you. Whether it's east side, west side, they drive everyone insane. Don't watch the METS Mets, they'll cause you pain. If they play against the Dodgers or the Yankees across town, what will they do? Just take a guess. If you pay a guy $1 billion not to catch a ball, who could you be? You'd be the Mets. But don't worry, guys, Soto's hitting his stride. He's gonna get some home runs now. But when things are looking up, they'll find ways to lose somehow. Bruh. Give him a yell. Give him a shout. As the pitcher can't get anybody out. Come on and beat the Mets. Beat the Mets. Watching them gives you regrets. Blowing leads can't hit with risk. This team makes you want to slit your wrists because the Mets are always giving false hope, making the fans all heavily cope. Whether it's offense, defense, they refuse to even try. Please, Mets, just win a World Series before I die. I'm gonna cry.
Oh, Lord. I didn't realize we were going to play the whole thing. I thought we were only going to just play the first part about that. But yes, the Mets have actually won a game, finally. This entire slump by them, I know we've had a couple text messages come in and ask if we think they're ever going to turn it around. Yes, obviously it's baseball. But until that, I'm going to have some fun with this. Because, I mean, good God, is there any organization besides the Mets that can just throw money at a player and then have nothing happen on the other end of it? I feel so vindicated as a Phillies fan. I'm just saying that as we speak. But, Sparky, I mean,
change that around to the JETS.
No. I don't think there's anything that can shake the juju of the JETS. But, I mean, let's talk about the JETS a little bit because I was watching the Get Up this morning as I was getting ready and to come in, and they brought up a really interesting talking point, and that's quarterbacks this year that are coming in with the most pressure on them. Now, the Get Up is saying that JJ McCarthy is the quarterback that's coming in with the most pressure with Minnesota. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be the case. In his first year with the Minnesota Vikings, I know there was a lot of hype with him coming into last year before the injury happened and he had to be shelved for the entire season. I don't think you could really compare the success of Sam Darnold to the success of JJ McCarthy. I'm sorry. Because JJ McCarthy has yet to have any time in the NFL. We have yet to see him against an NFL defense. Sam Darnold had plenty of time to figure out what an NFL defense looks like and will throw at him. So to sit there and say that he is under the most pressure, I wouldn't necessarily go that far. However, I do think a quarterback that is under a lot of pressure is Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields and the Jets, especially with owner Woody Johnson really wanting something to happen now. I don't understand why he thinks that adding a whole bunch of players the players that he has added is going to make that happen. I think that you've turned around the morale. A lot of the young guys, including Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, who now have turned over a new leaf and want to stay with the Jets from what they have been saying. But do you think that there's any quarterback right now in the NFL that really has a lot of pressure coming into this season?
I mean, I would agree with the JJ
McCarthy.
I mean, he's probably got a couple years before really they're going to let him grow and play. I mean, it's a rookie year for him pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the Jets, if you're not Woody Johnson, you kind of know what you're getting. And I mean, if they win more than 6 games, then that's a success. And with a new coach, I don't see as much on them in the first year as much as players like Herbert, Tua. I mean, that's a list. Geno. I mean, it's going to be a big year for Geno and the Raiders if he comes out and doesn't do as well as he did in Seattle. I mean, that people are keeping an eye on, the Raiders as bringing in a veteran presence, and I think if Geno doesn't, I think he doesn't play a second year in Vegas, and I think that's a lot of teams in the NFL. So to single out one and JJ out of all of them
That's
is
what I'm
kind of
saying.
silly.
Because I don't feel like JJ is in danger of losing his job.
I think players like Tua
Yeah.
this is probably the make it or break it. Like if you don't get into the playoffs and win a game, it's probably you and a couple coaches on their way out.
Right. And that's why I had to bring this up, because it's like, of all quarterbacks to really single out, JJ to me, in his essentially, like you just said, rookie year, because he didn't play last year at all. I don't see him being a one and done quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. If they, have a subpar of the year this year, I feel like they just build upon it and try to do something again next season with JJ. But I agree with you. I feel like there's guys like Justin Fields, like Tua, and honestly, I would put Herbert on that list just yet, but he's definitely getting there.
Same as Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence
there's
for
a lot of
sure
them.
needs to be in that tier as well.
And what about the dude in Frisco?
Oh yeah, well,
before they break the bank on him,
Brock Purdy.
I think if Purdy doesn't have a good year, they might not pay him.
True,
and that's just the Niner way.
I mean, I don't. You mean like trade him away after this season? Yeah, that's definitely a possibility, because if you can at all upgrade at quarterback, you're going to. But I don't know if Brock Purdy is going to be under that much of a microscope this year, just because of what they're dealing with.
I mean, just knowing a ton of Niner fans. I mean, they're all turning on him, and he hasn't. They forget how great he was his rookie year, and I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot going on, and it's always. I mean, I'm still shaking my head on all these shows talking about Love being better than Mahomes already.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I'm not
slow your roll. I mean, he's having a great early career. Let the guy grow before you start throwing him in the conversations like that.
That's kind of what worries me, though, is once the media kind of gets behind somebody like this, something ends up happening. And I like Jordan. He's from here. I mean, the kid is a Bakersfield boy. I want Jordan to succeed. I would love to see Jordan become better than Patrick Mahomes.
I feel the same way about Herbert.
Yeah, but let's slow down and let's see it develop first. Like, I think Justin Herbert has all the skill in the world to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, at least top 5. But we haven't seen that success on the field yet, especially with the Chargers just being up in the air with how this offense is going to be run. I enjoy watching Justin Herbert play, but that's why I'm saying, like, he's starting to get to that point of, okay, pressure's going to be on here in about a year or two if you're going to get another contract off what you just got.
And that's what it goes into the same conversation with guys like Tua, Lawrence, Herbert. I mean, if Herbert doesn't take that step forward, I'm looking at this year. I mean, this will be the second year under Harbaugh. Okay, we'll make something out of it.
I don't think that, going back to JJ McCarthy, I don't think JJ McCarthy even is the most, or probably
in the top 10.
Not even. I don't even think he's the second year quarterback that has the most pressure on him. I think it's Caleb. I think Caleb has the most pressure on him to do something in this second year, because if you don't do anything in year 2 with what they have built around you now on the offensive line, oh, you're done, dude.
That's just new coaching. They're always going to bring that excuse up.
I understand.
It's his first year under this new coach and a new offensive strategy. So I think he bought an extra year on Caleb.
Fair.
But it's the same thing. We bringing in a new coach. That's why I stay back on the Fields thing. Yeah, it's the Jets. We can always bash the Jets. That's easy. But it's a new scheme. It's a new offense. Yeah, most of the same players, but it's a new regime. So they're going to buy him an extra year. And I mean,
fair. I just feel like with what we saw Justin do in Pittsburgh last year, I think there is some added pressure there, at least from the Jets organization, for him to turn around and do it again for the Jets. I think that they are thinking by signing Justin, they're bringing in a starting quarterback that has been slept on by both Chicago and Pittsburgh, and that they can develop into this superstar that he was always supposed to be when he was coming out of Ohio State. And I'm not sure if that's really the player that Justin Fields is. I think he's a solid quarterback to have as a starter. I don't think he's a superstar in the NFL, but for what the Jets are hoping he becomes, I would think it's going to be make or break for him this year, because if you don't show any potential to be that guy, or if he comes in and say this offensive line is garbage and they can't protect him and he's essentially exactly what we got in Chicago, they're not going to hold on to Justin very long. They're going to ship him out just as quickly as I would say you're saying about Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Because why are you going to pay this guy this much money on from an organization that is wanting to win right now? Although they are Delulu, the Jets have never been in the area to win right now.
I think the Bears are too.
That's
just my opinion.
The Bears, though, have been making strides to actually get it done and make what they've done produce into a championship at some point. The Jets, I have yet to see that happen. The Jets, yes, you have gone out and got a new head coach, a defensive-minded head coach, but we have yet to see if you have made the right strides roster-wise and just going forward organization-wise, because you still have a lot of questions just internally. We have questions about the turf. I mean, the turf has been a talking point for the Jets for the last 2 to 3 years, and we still haven't heard anything bad or good about it from the players.
And then guys like Sauce and, Brees Hall and other guys, I mean, I think having that whole Rodgers experience kind of hurt their careers.
And hurt that, or at least took a couple years away from their prime.
Exactly.
100%.
But we'll take a break, and we've got a couple football texts that'll go perfect with this conversation right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. Ah, and that's DX. Yeah, that was interesting.
Some of it is hard to find that
Uh,
sounds clean.
yeah, no, he didn't do a lot of clean versions to his songs. That's why I'm like, you won't hear a lot of DX on the radio. You probably won't either, but you'll hear it right here on the early bird special, at least as much as we can play.
All 12 seconds of it.
All 12 seconds.
Well, we talking quarterbacks. We had a good text, actually two good ones that'll lean right into that. The first one, which quarterback would you take in fantasy this year out of Daniels, Stroud, Ward, or Caleb? Yes, I'm already mock drafting. It is way too early.
Way too early. I agree with you. I wouldn't touch Cam Ward though. I'm not fully sold on what Tennessee is able to put on the field. Caleb is interesting to me just because it's a high potential. Like, it really, really is. But if you have a chance to get Jaden, I'd obviously go with Jaden because he is the one that has produced, and the Washington Commanders probably are going to be back to about what we saw last year. So out of those four, I'd probably say the safest bet is Jaden, but the highest potential would be Caleb. That's my prediction.
No talk about Stroud.
Again, I like CJ, but I am not a fan of Ohio State quarterbacks, especially consistently. We've seen them be great in 2 to 3 year spurts, but consistently you have to be great. So don't get me wrong. CJ is a fantastic quarterback, but if I had to choose between him or Jaden, I'd take Jaden.
Yep. I'm going Jaden as well. I wouldn't touch Caleb just because I just don't trust the Bears. And
that's a fair statement.
We're not looking at the Bears of last year. We're looking at a new scheme of the Bears. And I steer away from USC quarterbacks personally.
No, absolutely.
100%
you should.
I like Jaden. I'm a little nervous with Stroud because now with Mixon and
Nick Chubb,
I think they're going to even out. It's not going to be a throw first team. I still think Stroud will get his stats. He'll still be probably a solid quarterback, but I'm just concerned with what we're going to see out of the Texans this year as they fell off a little bit last year.
Yeah, and they're also, let's not forget, their wide receiver room is falling off as well because not only did you lose Stephon Diggs, but I believe Tank Dell isn't on the team anymore either, or is on the way out. I can't remember. One of the young receivers for the Houston Texans was unhappy and was on the way out. So
I know Nico has always been like a nice stash later in the drafts, but personally, I like where Jaden's at with his growth, and I think anybody that has the receiving core that he has and the tight ends, I think the tech that he has, it'd probably be a better upside. But
sorry, it's actually Nico. Nico Collins is the one that's unhappy that probably won't be on the team next year.
We will see. The other one was, is it just me, or is Cam Ward the only first quarterback to be picked in the draft that no one is talking about? Usually at this time, we couldn't stop talking about Caleb or Jalen. And this year or the year before, it was Bryce and Stroud.
True.
I'm hearing nothing about Cam Ward. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Honestly, that is a fair assessment because we haven't talked a lot about Cam Ward. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, to be honest with you. I am lukewarm on the situation. I think that this year coming into the draft, it was a weak quarterback year. And because if you put Cam into dang near any other situation, any other draft year, I should say, he probably isn't taken first overall. I mean, when the top two quarterbacks on the board were him and Deion Sanders' son, the draft wasn't exactly coveted this year when it comes to quarterbacks. So I think that's more why. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing that you haven't heard about him, especially if you're a Tennessee fan, because usually when you don't hear about them, it's actually a good thing. It means things are going according to plan and they're looking good.
Yeah, give it a couple of weeks.
Because trust me, if he looked bad at all, you'd hear nothing but Cam Ward can't play. Cam Ward's not going to be ready. Cam Ward is this. Cam Ward is that. But the fact that you haven't heard anything is probably a good thing. So I would say it's probably error on the side of it's a good thing than it's a bad thing.
Yeah, the rookie camps followed by the full team camps will start here in a couple of weeks.
Right.
So we'll be hearing a lot more about these.
and he's a shoe-in to win that spot. And Will Levis is done in Tennessee, and it's time for them to move on to somebody who has a little more athleticism to him. And I think that you're in good hands. I just don't know how the rest of the team is going to shape up. So we'll see how this season goes for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, speaking of shoe-ins, who the hell is the Saints quarterback?
Who the hell knows and who the hell cares?
I mean,
God, at this point, they could put the kicker back there and I wouldn't give a dang. No, Tyler Shuck most likely will be the quarterback for now until they realize that he's not the answer for them at quarterback, because I'm going to come out and say it. If y'all don't want to say it, I'll say it. Tyler Shuck is not going to be the answer for New Orleans. He's not. I'm sorry. Like, we're talking about the next Brandon Weeden. That's essentially what this is. He's an older quarterback coming into the league. He's a little more seasoned than everybody else, sure. But does that make him better? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Name the last quarterback that came in that was the oldest in his class, a substantial number, and was the best one. I'll give you Russell Wilson. That's probably the best one, the best example. But Russell, don't forget, had a short stint in baseball. So he had left to go play another sport, came back to play a year in college, thrived in college to make himself what he was in the NFL. Tyler Shuck did not do that.
Well, that's just another, it goes into the topic where a lot of these guaranteed contracts are holding up contract talks, as Tyler hasn't signed his deal.
Nope.
As well as 30 other draft picks. And we're a week and a half, 2 weeks into away from rookie camp starting. And, you know, we heard about the Carr retirement that we discussed in the beginning of the offseason. And I'm just wondering if there's still some talk or some time for them to bring in somebody.
At this point, the only one that I keep hearing is Kirk Cousins. And you know how I feel about interdivisional trades. They don't happen. So you would be picking him up off waivers or something of that nature, I would assume, which would actually probably benefit your team a little bit more than having to deal with the brunt end of his salary from whatever the hell Atlanta signed him to. There's not a lot of options that are better for them, which is the craziest part about this. It's like, I'd rather go with the devil you don't, which is the one side that I really don't err on most of the time. I usually say go the devil you know.
And speaking of the Saints, I'm hearing a lot of talk about the Taysom Hill getting out and Kamara not being happy. And if you don't have a quarterback under contract that you know is going to be your starter, that's going to be a big question.
Are we ready to move on from this Taysom Hill thing?
I would.
Like, are we done? Like, can we be done? Like, I get that the guy plays every position, and that's awesome. Don't get me wrong. That's a really cool thing to do on a football field. I enjoy that quite a bit. But can we stop talking about this guy as if he was a game changer for anything? The only guy he could beat, the only team he could beat was Atlanta.
That's why you feel like that.
No, I'm being dead honest. You look at his statistics.
He's good for a trick play here and there.
Yeah, but that's it. And honestly, if you're relying on trick plays to win games, you're not a good football team. I'm sorry. That's always the way I was told by my coaches. If you lost by a trick play, or if you have to result to trick plays to score touchdowns, you're not a good team.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we all know the Saints are going to be a good team this year.
No, they're going to be awful. But I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Is who's going to be their quarterback next year? This is why I think that I know everybody's so enamored with where's Archie going. I'm telling you right now, Arch to the Saints, it could happen in the near future. And to be honest, for him to for him to go to the Saints as his grandfather did would be a heck of a story and a great full circle moment for the organization. So I'm going to throw out there way too early of a prediction. I realize we still have a year, if not two, before Arch is even considered to go into the draft. But I'm going to throw that out there right now. If you were the Saints, maybe taking Tyler Shuck was a long-term plan. Maybe they're on the Triple H track here. They're thinking long-term storytelling.
Well, get in line because the Giants and Colts are probably in there too.
I'm sure they are. I'm saying, like, I'm sure there's a lot of teams that are on the, that have him on their radar right now.
Miami.
Yeah, Miami, Cleveland probably being another one too.
I think that's another thing. I mean, maybe they go out and get Flacco.
That's obviously a
that's the name that keeps
honestly a
bringing up to me is okay, maybe because I still don't think that he's going to be the starter week 1 for Cleveland.
Well, and just throwing this out there as well, Deshaun Watson will probably be available at some point too.
Please don't do that.
No, I don't think he will. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there are some teams that are probably willing to give this guy a second shot because of who he is and what he did on a football field. And honestly, if you're hurting that bad, I could see the Saints saying, you know what? Come on. What's the worst you could do?
What are you going to do?
Exactly. So it is entirely possible that somebody like Joe Flacco gets picked up by the Saints for a year and you get that. But I'm just saying Saints might be playing the long game right now and sitting here thinking we're going to be tanking for that kid, just like the Jacksonville Jaguars did for Trevor Lawrence. Because you can't sit there and tell me they didn't tank for 2 years straight for Trevor.
And poor guys like Kamara is just going to take it and take it.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of validity to those stories that Kamara and all these other guys are kind of just like, if you're going to do that, I want out. Because Kamara has a lot of potential left in his career to win something. And honestly, I could see him going to a team like Buffalo and crushing over there.
Well, I've heard it for the last 3 years that he wasn't happy and then he takes a new deal. I know. Okay.
But again, it's the hometown deal, right? Like you fall in love with the fans there in New Orleans from everything I keep hearing. It really is a football city and they get behind you. So it's hard to walk away from
lived
that.
in Louisiana. They are great people out there.
Right. And it's hard to walk away from the
Saints.
hospitality, man. It
They
really
love
is.
their Saints.
Honestly, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for not wanting to leave. Like I get the Southern hospitality thing. I totally understand how alluring it is and how much you want to live in that. So for him to sit there and say, man, I hate playing here, but dang, do I love these fans? I get it. Yep. I totally understand. Sometimes
loyalty.
Yeah, sometimes loyalty and just putting up the pros and cons of playing for a team just weigh out that way. So good on him for putting up for it this long. But I don't know if it's going to last after this year. I feel like if you're the Saints and you are planning to do a full rebuild, I would say trade away Kamara, trade away Taysom Hill, trade away Cam Jordan. Please trade away Cam Jordan. And get all you can for these pieces so you can do a full rebuild and really plan for the future. Because I do believe the long game is being played here.
Well, we'll take our final break, wrap up the live week. You can tune in and join our best of tomorrow. As Burdick had mentioned, you can hear our interview with 24KG, ESPN's Evan Cohen, and much more right here on Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. Early bird special, final segment of the week. It will be dark tomorrow for the 4th of July holiday. Hope everybody else is as well, and you all get to enjoy your day off whichever way you wish. If you'd like to listen to us, though, we still will be here 7 to 9, just not live. It'll be a best of from the past week. And unfortunately, if you watch on YouTube, you'll just have to wait for us on Monday. You can listen to us online, though, at ESPNBakersfield.com from 7 to 9 as well, Pacific time, if you were anywhere else in the country or outside of the country. We do have some around the world, so it happens. But if you are wanting to listen to us tomorrow, 7 to 9 Pacific time, right here, ESPN Bakersfield, you'll hear us with KG again, Evan Cohen from the Unsportsmanlike program that happens right before ours, as well as some other interviews. I wanted to get to some of these fun talking points, though, before we get to what we're watching and doing this weekend for the holidays. Starting with, let's go with Jake Savicki. I love Jake Savicki. If you are a baseball fan and you are online, I highly suggest you go follow this guy. He's fantastic. His content is great. He is really starting to grow in the baseball space too. His podcast has been pulling in a lot of really name-worthy professional athletes, including baseball players. But they were talking about Savannah Banana Baseball and a rule that he would like to incorporate into not that he would like to incorporate, I shouldn't say that. A rule that he thinks that is the only one that Savannah Bananas use that could be used in professional games. So let's hear from Jake real quick.
Banana Ball is just a testing grounds for the MLB. If they do take one, I thought about this the other day. If the MLB would take one thing from Banana Ball, I wish it would be that when a fan catches a fly ball, the hitter is out. Imagine this. Hear me out. Only one section, and if you want to sell premium tickets, they're very, very expensive. You can go recording out for the Los Angeles Dodgers or your New York Yankees, like those dumbasses that reached over and grabbed Mookie Betts. Imagine if that section right there down the right field line, those, we'll call it 150 seats right there. Boom. More than home plate tickets. I don't know what home plate tickets cost. Let's say $5,000 a piece. 120, that's 600 G's in ticket sales right there. And here's the thing. It's not just going to be Yankee fans trying to go get outs from the other team. It's going to be other teams' fans that also pay that when they're in town because they want to take outs away. They want to help the team win. Those sections will sell out every game. Imagine, imagine last year if you had this. Imagine going to the Coliseum playing at Oakland, and every single fan, all 120 that attend the game, are sitting in one little tiny section.
Ouch.
Nobody else at the game. And maybe you do the left field line for lefties that will foul it off that way, and you sell those for half price. Imagine if all the fans in the whole stadium were just a little south of the foul poles on each side, and that was it.
Honestly, it's an interesting concept. It's an interesting idea for baseball, and it would definitely get the fans more involved in the game itself. I don't see it working out, though.
No.
Financially, it would be a great thing for baseball if you can get people to buy tickets that would be that expensive. However, could you imagine anybody on any opposing fan, period, trying to sit in those seats at Dodger Stadium or Yankee Stadium and catch outs against the Dodgers or Yankees? And you're going to sit there and think that those people, those fans, those just innocent bystanders, quote unquote, are going to sit there and watch that happen? Nah. No. That ain't happening. That is no way in hell are Dodger or Yankee or anybody's sensible home fans going to allow a fan of a different team to get an out for them because they caught a foul ball. Not going to happen. I cannot see that being a thing. What are your thoughts?
I totally agree. I would love to see it just for entertainment reasons.
Oh, 100%.
And I think it would be, and I'm just thinking, even a Dodger fan accidentally, snagging something that they just wanted the money for the ball or something like that. I mean, it would cause chaos.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually going to be the next point I was going to make too, because now the devil's advocate side of me has to say, well, we have plenty of situations that have happened in baseball where an eager fan reaches over the wall a little too early. It just happened the other day. And we talked about it. We had it on our social media. Should that fan have been banned from the ballpark for doing it? I say a little bit, yes. You went a little too far over, and that's part of the game. You got to let the ball go until it bounces over the fence.
And they did come out and say, if it was the first offense,
it would different.
It would have been different.
Not a first offense for that
fourth
guy.
time that they've been ejected from a game.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like, so I think with that being open and allowed in certain segments of the ballpark, you're going to have more of those issues. Because imagine that, let's say that ballpark, or let's say that segment or that section of the ballpark is like right down third base line, but it's still catchable for a third baseman. He tries to go for the ball and a fan just reaches out and grabs it. Can you throw that fan out? Because technically he was trying to do what he is paid there to do. He is paid for that ticket to do. He's supposed to be catching a foul ball to help his team. Do you penalize that fan now because he reached out over the fence and caught the ball over the third baseman?
How long until a coach or a player punches one of the fans?
Right. Like, so in theory and especially financially, fantastic idea.
And speaking of financially, I read this something I wanted to throw in real quick. Caitlin Clark's new Nikes were released this week.
Ooh.
Sold out in minutes.
Dang it.
For $160. People are already reselling them for $350.
Men and women's sizes?
Yep.
Oh, I might have to get a pair of these. I'm not even a sneakerhead, but I'd be down. I'll get a pair of Caitlin Clark's.
But a big shout out to all our guests, especially the Bandit, for taking gold for our Kern County. And enjoy your 4th of July.
Absolutely. Don't forget, go out to Harris Barbecue as well. Go get some barbecue for your 4th of July weekend. They got some great deals over there. But until then, we will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your 3-day weekend. Here comes the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's go home.